All right. Welcome back to another edition of Scaling Secrets. I am your host, Alex Mahaz, and today we have Steve Bigari joining us, a true leader and innovator with decades of experience in the restaurant space. As a pioneer and driving force behind leading edge developments like multi lane drive through and his first fully automated food order, he brings unmatched industry expertise and global restaurant relationships to his now company, Southhound. Also, a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point and a lifetime Ashoka Fellow, his strong sense of leadership and service to others has always been paramount. So, everybody get ready as we dive into the mindset of a true leader and innovator in the restaurant industry with decades of experience of success. Welcome to the show, Steve. How you doing?
Thanks, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. You obviously have such a great background in the restaurant industry. And then obviously, you were a graduate at the United States Military Academy, which is an awesome achievement as well. But do you want to just kick us off and just, share the early days of your journey and, what ultimately led you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I never would have imagined, right? I had no plan. Nobody in my family had ever been to college. And one day when I was 9, my dad won tickets to a Packers game, and I decided I wanted to be a Green Bay Packer. So with his big body, I figured I'd go to the University of Michigan. Never got there. Wound up going to West Point. Would never make the pros going to West Point. So I started a military career. Loved that. Thought I'd stay there forever. My oldest daughter was born with a bunch of birth defects. That led me to the Ronald McDonald House. She's doing great. Don't worry. It worked out fine. So I helped build the Ronald McDonald House, and that started my journey with McDonald's, which led me into entrepreneurship. And you just could have made it up. You never could have made it up. I never once considered being an entrepreneur. I was kind of drug into it, but
Mhm.
boy, it's been an amazing journey.
I love that. I love that. And was there any, specific person that kind of guided you, like a mentor or a family member that kind of helped you transition, into, opening those McDonald's restaurants and then obviously, finding your own restaurant solutions later on? Was there, somebody that kind of helped you bridge that gap?
I've had so many, but the my career was a great man by the name of Brent Cameron, who led the international division of McDonald's for decades and built 63 countries. 63 countries. And he had such an innovative spirit. And he would always ask me, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen if we do this? And then contrast it with not doing it. And so he was a great risk taker, a genius man who led by example and really was a mentor to me and encourager to me my whole life. He was tragically killed in a climbing accident, and I was able to purchase one restaurant and grew that quickly to 12.
Wow. Yeah, what a great story. I mean, it's definitely, that's such a great mindset to have in any business, especially when you're in those first couple of years, having that mentality. Worst thing that can happen if I do this, financially, and also too, like mentally too, like, is this going to be good for your mental stake? And, I think that's a great way to approach any business. So I love that story. I want to transition. Obviously, you use a lot of AI technology now in the rent industry, and that's definitely booming the last few years with all the innovations. So, can you share with us, just some insights on how AI technology has really revolutionized the restaurant industry in terms of customer experience?
Yeah, I think it really done just about everything, but it's rapidly accelerating. I mean, that's come from generative AI and large language models has really touched everything from drive-through ordering to employee training and retention. So, for example, our dynamic interaction product is disruptive in that it doesn't require turn taking. It doubles capacity. It has fully multimodal speech and visual cues to tell you that you're getting the order right. So it's twice as fast as ordering from a human, better than ordering from a human. And then on the kind of the flip side of that, there's a lot of things in between. But the age old problem with restaurants, it's been there for the past 30 years, has been staffing, retention, hiring, and our employee product. I like to call it the Alfred to the employee's Batman, where that first day employee can know everything they need to know by simply using their mouth and asking the AI, how do I cook the pancake? How do I season the grill? How do I whatever? And the AI's there to teach them, becoming kind of man's best friend
Hmm.
and him eliminate boring, repetitive, mundane tasks. So there's a host of other things, but I think those are really the bookends, the two big transformative things that are going to make everything better, cheaper, faster.
I love that. I love in terms of like just the speed of this the AI implementations. How is the speed and how are the products and the accuracy really improved with all the implementations?
Yeah, it's really because we first started just the grandfather of AI kind of rapid reorder. I think it was in 2018, so 5 years ago maybe. And then it became more and more better and smarter, and it involved more natural language understanding, right? And now just recently the unfolding of Gen AI has accelerated everything so much that now we can literally capture an order in less than half the time it takes a human to do it. We not only always get it right, but it presents itself right to your face and confirms it so you know that it's correct. You can talk to it, you don't have to turn take with it. Like our conversation is turn taking.
Hmm.
It literally, you can just blurt it all out and it'll get it all right. And then when you miss something, the classic is the kids in the car and they want that kids meal, and so you say, I want the hamburger kids meal, and you just blow past it and you order a bunch of other things. The AI just lets you do it, and then at the end it shows you a picture of your choices, and when you're done, it says, so what kind of drink did you want? And the choices are right there, so you don't have to wonder. Oh, apple juice. What kind of side did you want? Oh, fries. You can't. It's really hard to mess up.
Hmm. I love that. Having that interaction, that that by speed interaction is so important, and it's so unique. I bet it blows so many people's minds because so many in this industry. It's been always the same thing. So I love just the implementations of just those tools. But as like a trend in the industry, what do you see as the next big thing that's really going to shape the fast food industry? Is it more AI implementations, or do you see other things coming down the pipeline?
Well, so I think it's a question. I think for restaurants, the key drivers, the levers, are going to be AI and robotics for the next few years. That's going to transform everything. But I think by extension, what you're going to see now, I want you to think about something. Consider this: we eat more than 1,000 times a year. There's nothing else you transact that you do more of than that. And drive through is the Mars mission of AI, right? If you think about drive through, it has all the enemies of AI: high noise, multiple speakers, accents. It couldn't be more challenging, and very complex menus that are contextual. So, people don't order things the same way. They'll ask for a branded Pizza Hut product from a mod pizza, for example. And humans have struggle with that, but AI can understand that. So I think you're going to see that happen very quickly, and it's going to make our lives better, easier, and more profitable. And I think what'll happen then is, because you understand it in the context of eating, it will quickly move out to hospitality, travel, retail, healthcare, banking, everywhere else, because all those other things can benefit from the exact same tools that we use in the drive-through. Now, I think that's where the challenge comes, and I really think that we have to begin with the end in mind, because the risk is that if we don't consider the unintended consequences, bad things can happen. We've got to address a list of ethical concerns from privacy to Terminator, man. And
Hmm.
and I know that distinctly because my first patent was for credit cards at McDonald's. And it was cool because I didn't have money one day and I wanted to buy my supper. So I created a little credit card machine, patented it. I was one of the innovators of credit cards. And I look back on that and I didn't think about what that might do to consumer debt. And it was prolific. So I won't make that mistake again. Drive-through will lead this new age of transformation and accelerate adoption, I think, everywhere. But as we begin with the end in mind, I know at SoundHound we're going to do this right. We're doing it ethically. We're doing it safely. I tell people all the time, my AI is going to take care of your lunch. It will never take over the world.
I love that. I love that. That's great because that's definitely a huge concern now with just AI, especially in the tech space. It's going to take over the world, and everybody, they're going to lose their jobs, and it's not going to be a good thing. And I pros and cons with every AI's coming out with, but definitely with the restaurant industry, I'm really excited to see those things that you touched on. Um, but in terms of, customer loyalty, I want to transition and focus, how has your over the years, really remained customer focused? And what are some steps that, you suggest, let's say an early business owner, a franchisee, entrepreneur to take to really meet their customers' needs?
Boy, that the first one is really revolutionary. You got to listen. You know, customers always tell us what they need. All too often, we're too busy trying to sell. So listen. I think the second is to instigate. That's done. Pardon me. That's done best by by casting a compelling vision. So mine's easy. I've always wanted to build the highest capacity drive-throughs on earth. I still want to build the highest volume drive-through earth, and that will continue. I think the second is to instigate that vision. I'm sorry. The third is to inspire it, and that's really done by telling compelling stories. So, like in 2002, we built the first triple lane drive-through, and in 2006, we broke the drive-through world record. And then I spent the past couple decades teaching my friends how to beat it. And now that they've beat it, I can now focus on building transformation throughout broader communities and help other friends achieve their wildest dreams. And then finally, the one that everybody wants to do first is to innovate. And that is, I think the key there is we're better together, man. The human condition is about family and community. So once we've done those first three things, we've listened, we've instigated, we've inspired. Now we can innovate and create transformation to make the lives of all the people around us better every day. And even though they're small things like drive-through, together, you put them together and they can change the world. When you make it easier for an employee to be successful at their job, and that's one of the greatest characteristics of AI, it makes that job less stressful. It makes it more rewarding, more enjoyable, and therefore more profitable for both the business and the employee because they can do higher level tasks. So I think you're right. There are some risks with AI, but if we're mindful of them, we can manage the risk and really capitalize on the opportunity. Lost Alex. I see you coming back. I can hear you now. You were at innovation parallel with team building, I think, and then you went skits out.
All right, so Steve, you touched on innovation a little bit, and I'm curious, in terms of building teams, how important is it to really have your team members on board with the innovation process and really understanding the vision of the company and the roadmaps in place and where that innovation process is going forward? How important is that?
You know, Alex. It really gets back to the three parts. Once you've listened, and I think that's not just about listening to customers; it's about listening to employees as well. You have to inspire, instigate, and innovate. And so that inspiration starts with a compelling vision. And it has to be a shared vision. Otherwise, you won't be able to get your friends. We talk all the time about being better together. We're better together. So if we're all aligned on what that compelling vision is, then we can create the stories and create the community and conversation needed to drive that innovation. Because, excuse me, the end never turns out exactly the way you expected it to. Because when you start with the end in mind, you always begin with the end in mind with innovation. You say, I want to achieve this. When you cast that compelling vision, everybody gets on board and says, okay, let's go. But as they lend their voice to that conversation, it's going to take a slightly different direction. And as such, it almost always gets, I'm sorry, as such, it almost always gets better. Boy, pardon me. So I think that's really those three things combined with listening and bringing the team together, you can change the world, man.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, I work with a lot of senior managers as well. I'm in the consulting and IT space, and it's so important, especially as a manager, to have that open door policy to allow your employees to really speak their mind and understand what's going on in that day to day, and create a safe environment for them, and really having a career development plan in place too, and really kind of having the work life balance that's also so important. And that definitely for newer companies takes time to build and implement those processes, but it does pay dividends. So
100%. But newer companies can do that by just leading with a servant spirit. That's really the key and the thing I learned in the military, man.
yeah,
It doesn't matter how mature you are, how far along the journey you are, if you're always the last to eat, the last to sleep, you'd never ask anybody to do anything you haven't done or wouldn't do yourself. They're going to follow you to the ends of the earth, man.
definitely. And yeah, that's definitely just a mindset implementation. So having that positive mindset as a leader is going to really pay off. And I know you touched on your military experience, so I want to go into that. How has your background in the military really influenced your leadership style and your approach to business, specifically in the restaurant industry?
Well, I think as I mentioned, we lost you there, Alex. We lost your picture.
Oh, are
I'm
you
going to
still there?
hold for just a second, so hopefully you come back.
I can hear you. Can you
Can
hear
you
me,
hear me?
Steve? Yep, I can hear you.
You've muted. I'm going to wait. Welcome back, Alex. Yep. Well, I think it's really the key to my success. If you think about the restaurant business is a service business, right? So in the military, you're literally, as an officer in the military, you're the last person who gets to eat. You're the last person who gets to go to bed. You have to put everyone else first. You have to be willing to do anything for anyone at any time. And when you carry that over into the restaurant business, it's a natural formula for success. So when you do that, people are willing to follow you and they follow that example that you put others first. And funny, in America today, that's a decided business advantage that you have a servant spirit. It really is. It's hard to believe that it would become that. It used to be greens fees for every business, but today it's remarkable when you find businesses that have that spirit, and that's I think really been underlying through 19 companies over 30 plus years. That's been the key to all of them. Thank you. And well, thanks for asking. I think in my 19 companies, my batting average may not be great, but my slugging percentage is pretty darn good. The first thing is that people like to tell you no. Find a way to yes. Don't ever take no for an answer. The more people tell you this, the more you double down and let that fuel your desire to achieve yes. Because I wrote in my book, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said no, I'd be richer. Uh, and it's funny because you can live it or you can let it fuel you. Let me I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you about the guy that cleans my house. Can I do that? Because I think it's way more practical, right? So I moved to McKinney, Texas about a year ago, And this guy Roger has best cleaning service I've ever seen in my life, and he's always coming to me advice, right? So when he first started working for me, he would say, "Well, Steve, what can I do?" And I said, "Listen, Roger, you got the first part right. Be the best guy at house cleaning in the world. Focus on that. Refine that skill. Serve people just the way you do." Okay, I got that. What do I do next, Steve? Get the foundation right. Put all the systems in place. Do you have a lawyer? Do you have contracts that are correct? Do you have great accounting services? Do you have great internal controls? So he went through all the X's and O's of business and he did all those things. I said, now calculate everything you're going to need to be successful and then triple it. Then when you've got that all put aside, come back to me and and then I'll tell you the last thing you need to do. So he came over this weekend. We had some things that we were sharing with the people in his community because we have a lot of things that we wind up giving away. And Roger came over and said, "I'm ready, Steve. I'm ready to do the next thing." And I I said, okay, we have the smart answering product at SoundHound. And fundamentally, what it does is, Roger, it's going to extend you. It's going to use LLMs and GAI to make sure that you never lose the customers, to make sure that they have all the right information, to make sure that all the things are focused on. And then it'll be a heat seeking missile to you when we find just the perfect fit in customer, because you want to pick your customers too. He's 5-star Google ratings. He's amazing. You don't just want to take anybody who wants their house clean. You want the best customers that are going to treat you right. And so we added smart answering to his portfolio over the weekend. And all I can say now is I can't wait to see a year from now, because I think Roger's going to take over the house cleaning world. But the point is, that can be anything. Fill in anything that you do. It doesn't matter. The formula is still the same. When you do those things, you're going to create a flywheel of goodness. Remember, when we create transformation and we make people's lives better everywhere, every day, that's what we focus on. Even if it's a small thing like cleaning somebody's house or fixing their garage or painting something, together we can change the world, man. Well, I think it's having an understanding. I remember when Brent passed away, the attorney who flew out to have me sign the franchise agreements. It's understanding what you're getting into, beginning with the end in mind. I said to him, he said, "Well, how do you feel?" I said, "Well, I'd give it all up to have Brent back for one day, but I'm excited to be an entrepreneur." And there's a stack of documents, and he snatched them from my hand and he slammed them on the table. He said, "If you want to be an entrepreneur, do not sign this, because that's not what you're signing up for. You're signing up to be a highly compensated indentured servant. Understand that." Well, I did it, and it turned out that I had a wonderful love affair with McDonald's, and they really allowed me to do a lot of things that other operators weren't able to do. So that kind of worked out. But I do think that's kind of one of the most important lessons that I learned is you have to understand the environment you're in, because if you have misaligned expectations, it's not going to end well. Gosh, what people think is really important, but it doesn't really mean that much. Maybe I can turn that inside out a little bit. Um, it's not the complicated stuff that matters. It's the simple stuff. It's the way that you treat people. It's listening to people. We're not good listeners today. I noticed it myself. We've become so focused in hearing ourselves talk. Ironic that I'm speaking so much today. Um, yes, I can. I'm glad it's not me.